Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Sunday evening, August 11, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons during the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what the dad's been like in your year recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future, though they're in your specific area. Alright, so let's take a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. And we can see that as of their latest update, at about 7:36 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:36 p.m. Jamaica time, we now have what is now designated as potential tropical cyclone number 5, which basically means that it is still a strong tropical wave, but it will soon affect land across portions of the northeastern Caribbean. So they just want to be able to put up advisories and let people know that it's going to become something soon, whether it's a tropical depression or a tropical storm. It is not above tropical depression or tropical storm status. Don't let the name potential tropical cyclone fool you. It's still a strong tropical wave. And we can see it right here. It is expected to become a tropical depression maybe later on tonight into early Monday morning. Then by 2 p.m. on Monday, the Hurricane Center has it as an S. That's a tropical storm status right there. And we can see that they've even put up tropical storm watches in the yellow across portions of the Leeward Islands, the northeastern Caribbean, everywhere from Guadeloupe northward. So Antigua and Barbuda, St. Bart's, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, and it's definitely going to be pushing towards the northwest to affect portions of the US and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico later on. So the watches and warnings are going to be extending into those areas, and these watches are definitely going to be becoming warnings very soon, and we need to pay attention to see exactly what unfolds. We know that we have a lot of Caribbean friends and neighbors over there, even Jamaicans who live and work in those countries, and who knows, maybe this system might even develop into a hurricane sooner than later. So we have to stay updated to see exactly what unfolds. As of right now, it's packing maximum sustained winds of 30 miles per hour, and it's moving towards the west-northwest at about 23 miles per hour. So it hasn't gotten up to the tropical depression status as yet. It is only 8 miles per hour short in terms of the wind speeds that it should possess. So 30 miles per hour, not yet a tropical depression. So as stated, it's still a strong tropical wave. And we know that when it becomes something later on, it's going to be named Ernesto, considering that we've gone through Alberto, which slammed into Mexico and southern Texas, Beryl, which did a number on the Caribbean from the Windward Islands to Jamaica, the Yucatan Peninsula, and then Texas, Chris, which slammed into Mexico quickly and even, wrapped up what it was doing before Beryl was over and done. And then we just wrapped up Debbie, which did a number on the eastern coast of the United States with a lot of rainfall. So Ernesto is next in line, followed by Francine. If we take a look at what the supercomputer models have been showing, the trends have been in consensus for the system to be making more of a clipping of the northeastern Caribbean and then pushing northward. That's what we like to see. We don't want them to come into the Caribbean and then developing something like what Beryl did at all. We cannot handle that at all. The infrastructure cannot handle, the power companies cannot handle it. So we're just going to be going out in time on the Euro and the GFS models to see exactly what unfolds. We know we're looking for the moisture associated with the system, the greens, the yellows, as well as the isobars and the area of low pressure in red. So we're just going to be going on to the next 168 hours. That's the next 7 days on the euro, and we're going to be comparing it to what the GFS is showing to see if there is consensus with this forecast, because we know it's the consensus that the US National Hurricane Center uses to make their forecast. So we can see it right here, heading into portion of the Leeward Islands, and this is by 12Z on Tuesday, which is actually 7 a.m. on Tuesday. And then it's passing right there to the east of Puerto Rico. And then as we go out in time, we see it trying to develop even more, pushing northward, then pushing to the northeast. And then by the end of the 168 hours, it should be right there off to the northeast of Bermuda. Bermuda right here. Let us see what the GFS is showing for the same time period. So we see the system right there, still taking that southern kind of jog, more so affecting portions of the northern Windward Islands than the Leeward Islands. And keep in mind that this is the 18Z run of the GFS, which came out after the Hurricane Center made their most recent forecast, if I'm not mistaken. But okay, so if we take a look here, we can see what it's doing, passing to the south of Puerto Rico, quite different from what the euro was showing. Euro had it passing to the east of Puerto Rico, so there's still some uncertainty with what the euro and the GFS have been showing, but we see that it's definitely expected to lift towards the north, all courtesy of the trough that is trying to pull it northward, so we don't have that strong ridge of high pressure like what we had in Beryl that was forcing everything westward at all. And we're indeed grateful for that. And then as we go out to the next 168 hours, it's right there. Who knows, possibly affecting Bermuda itself. Look right there. We see it actually sitting on top of Bermuda, if not to the north of there. The euro has it more towards the northeast of Bermuda by that time. And it actually passed to the east of Bermuda earlier that day or a day before. Either way, we have to stay prepared. We know we have a lot of friends and relatives who work all across the world. So we just hope that they're, taking the necessary precautions so that they're not that drastically affected. Everybody matters. If we take a look at the probability wind forecast, we can see that somewhere in the Leeward Islands is going to be picking up some tropical storm force winds within the next 7 days. We see that there's a higher probability of that happening in the yellows, the golds, that represents anywhere up to 30 to maybe up to 50-60% chance of them experiencing some tropical storm force winds. And we know tropical storm force winds are any wind speeds that are around 39 to 73 miles per hour. So there's definitely a higher chance in the yellows and the golds for that happening across portions of the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, maybe a bit across the Dominican Republic, northern Haiti, just a 5 to 10% chance, nothing drastic, but we just have to wait and see exactly what unfolds. For now, the forecast is for the system to move towards the west and then towards the north, and regardless of development into a hurricane, we know that it's definitely going to be packing a punch in terms of the amount of rainfall that's expected. This map right here from the Hurricane Center is a nice addition to their list of maps on their websites, because this wasn't available last year at all, and we're indeed grateful for this one. This one is showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 12 UTC on August 16. That's about 7 a.m. on August 16. And we can see the greens that represent 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. The yellows represent 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. And the gold colors represent up to 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. And they've even done the math for us, for those of us who use the millimeters to measure the rainfall and the rain gauges, so we know exactly how much rainfall is expected. So it's definitely going to be causing some amount of flooding, if not landslides, whatever the case may be. So I hope and trust that persons are getting themselves ready. There's a lot of rain on the way. Alright, so let's just take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that ridge of high pressure across the northern portion of North Atlantic that's responsible for sending all of these systems from east to west across the main development region into the Caribbean. A tropical wave that actually affected portions of Jamaica today still right there out to the east of the island. It should be across the island, if not to the west of the island by now, considering that these maps kind of delay in ascent. We see the tropical wave right here to the northeast of South America that the Hurricane Center is watching. Another tropical wave right there off the coast of Africa. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that tropical wave. More of the clouds right there off to the south of Haiti and Jamaica, passing right there from east to west. We can also see the clouds associated with potential tropical cyclone right there. Definitely trying to get its act together. And the clouds associated with that other tropical wave off the coast of Africa. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean today later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Sunday, August 11. It was stated that morning rainfall would have been in the forecast for sections of eastern Jamaica on Sunday, also affecting sections of some central and western parishes during the afternoon. And just for reference, we know western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, such as Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth. While we have our central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew. And for the morning, it was for eastern Jamaica, and who knows, considering we have a usually easterly kind of flow across the island from east to west, it wouldn't be foreign for it to, spill into portions of central Jamaica, and that it did, because a post was made in the morning at around 6:45 a.m. highlighting that we did indeed get on the thunderstorm activity across eastern Jamaica, St. Thomas, Portland, and some of it definitely spilled into portions of some central parishes, so sections of Clarendon, St. Catherine, sections of St. Mary, St. Anne definitely gotten on the thunderstorm activity at around that time. And I want for you to keep in mind that this post was made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, and not only here, but on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there, as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So even by afternoon, another post was made at 1:35 p.m. highlighting the visible satellite image right here, showing clouds bringing some amount of overcast skies, it's not isolated shower, and thunderstorm activity across sections of some central parishes. And then this definitely spilled into portions of western Jamaica, even although it was more so some isolated showers at that time. And we definitely have some confirmation from some of our followers here on our pages. But before we even go into the confirmation, let's just take a look at the visible satellite images of what took place today. So after that post was made highlighting that visible satellite image, we saw the clouds definitely pushing from east to west across the island. Definitely had those high cold cloud tops in play. Thunderstorms definitely lashing western Jamaica. And even if we roll back the camera, we can even see where portions of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine got in on some amount of overcast skies and some thunderstorm activity. St. Thomas and Portland in the clear for the most part. And we definitely have the confirmation here from Jadane Murray on our Twitter page. Kingston finally got some well-needed rain. Paolo's here stating, yup, Central, whichever parish that is, highlighting that it's raining with lightning and thunder. And even on our Instagram page, we had some comments coming in. One right here from Love is a Beautiful Thing _22 stating, raining heavily here in Cooper's Hill, St. Andrew. And another one right here from Brenda Star 4952 stating, finally I get some heavy rain in Kingston 11. And if we even roll back the clock and take a look at See Jamaica's YouTube channel. If you don't know by now, we have a partnership with this channel where they show live streams of Halfway Tree, Crossroads, the Bogwalk Gorge, the City View, Kingston Harbor, and the newly installed Barbican Camp. And This was around what 3:52 p.m. right here in halfway tree, and we definitely had some heavy rainfall lashing the area. Look at all the cars right there with their windshield wipers on. Some heavy rainfall pushing in from the north, coming in from left to right. Don't see much persons on the road at all, but it's Sunday, so it's understandable. But that was some definitely heavy or moderate to heavy rainfall lashing halfway through at that time. And if we take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology's accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours, this map does indeed paint a picture of where we had the rainfall today. Definitely, especially across some eastern parishes, more so northeastern parishes in the morning, then central and western parishes during the afternoon. And it does indeed paint quite a picture of where we had most in the way of rainfall today. And if we take a look at the infrared satellite images before the sun went down, we can definitely see where we even had the high cold cloud tops that represent some deep convection that we know is represented by the blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, as well as the sparkling white dots that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. So we definitely had the thunderstorm activity. And if we take a look at the very latest infrared satellite image, so we're going to be looking at the latest one that just came out as of 25 minutes past the hour, so that's 25 minutes past 7. We can see that majority of these clouds have definitely cleared out to make way for clearer skies tonight. And if we match that satellite image to the latest Cuban Doppler radar image that just came out at 10 minutes past 8, we can definitely see that we still have some leftover isolated showers right there off to the south of the island. More so, we do see a spot of green right there across section of maybe Manchester, northeastern St. Elizabeth, but who knows if that's actually rainfall or if it's ground clutter. Ground clutter is actually a glitch in the system, or we see something like rain, like what we see on the key on the right that represents the green and yellow that we know is some light to moderate to heavy rainfall. But sometimes it can be some glitch in the system, which is why we really want the Jamaican Doppler radar to be back up and running. But we do see some isolated shores out to sea. The ones that are out to sea, that cannot be glitches at all. So we do have some isolated shores out to the southwest and off to the south of the island, most of which should be pushing from east to west, and we can definitely see it being represented by these gray patches of clouds right here to the south of the island. If we take a look at the latest halfway tree cam as of 7:34 p.m., we can see, as usual, a very busy halfway tree. Very dry at the moment. It looks like it didn't even rain at all, but they definitely got a soaker today. Nothing happening right now weather-wise. Persons can definitely see the stars tonight. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can say we're 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Monday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Monday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Monday. And we do see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight yellow colors that we can see by the key on the right that represents up to 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures. I know the normal temperatures for the month of August across Jamaica are about 91 degrees Fahrenheit. When that's calculated, that's about the same as 32.7 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 33 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Monday. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Monday, we can see Jamaica right here, and we should be getting in on a break, especially considering that there's a tropical wave still passing across us. So we might just get in on more blue skies, not much hazy skies tomorrow at all. We're indeed grateful for that. But we know after the tropical wave has passed, we have more Saharan dust coming in. As a matter of fact, we can make out potential tropical cyclone number 4, if I'm not mistaken, right there, or 5. It is definitely right there in between all of the dust. Yes, it's potential tropical cyclone number 5 right there. And we can see that there's still a lot of dust coming in from Africa, and we know all of this is going to be pushing from east to west eventually. So Enjoy the clear blue skies on Monday while it lasts, because the Saharan dust is definitely going to be coming again, all courtesy of the easterly flow brought about by the ridge of high pressure to the north. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, it makes sense that the highest wave heights in the purples, pinks, burgundies are right there across the waters to the east of the Leeward Islands, associated with potential tropical cyclone number 5. And we know all of that represents anywhere from what, up to 2 to maybe up to 6 meter or more wave heights, while the rest of the Caribbean going to be getting on those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues that represents anywhere from 0.5 meter to 1.5 meter wave height. And that's because the winds are going to be strongest where potential tropical cyclone number 5 is located. We see the yellows, golds, even heading up into the maybe burgundy shades that represents up anywhere from 25 all the way up to maybe up to 30 knot winds, while we have more so greens across the Caribbean that represent anywhere from 15 to 20 knots. And we see the general direction across the Caribbean with the winds coming in from the east right there. And we can also see the curvature associated with the airflow pressure, with the winds coming in from the south on the east side, then curving westward on the north side, so that we know the airflow pressure is somewhere within there regards to that potential tropical cyclone. But if we take a closer look at Jamaica's forecast, we see that there's gonna be more so of an east southeasterly kind of flow tomorrow, especially on the south coast of the island, coming in as well on the eastern side, but kind of curving in a sense on the northern portion of the island. But what we're looking for is where all of the air is going to be piling up, where we're going to be having the least amount of winds. And we see that we have the least amount of winds across sections of some northern and western parishes. So that's where all of the air is going to be piling up. That's where we're going to be having those cumulus clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds. That's where we're going to be having that daytime heating or diurnal convection as usual. And we can't rule out some rainfall coming off of the sea and it's going into portions of St. Thomas and Portland. Who knows? Some of it might even head into sections of some southern parishes as well. Maybe, hopefully, St. Catherine, Clarendon right there. Maybe Kingston, St. Andrew. Fingers crossed. But we're more inclined to believe St. Thomas and Portland are going to be getting on that rainfall. And then during the afternoon, sections of northern and western Jamaica. So maybe sections of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, maybe sections of St. Mary, western parishes, so maybe sections of northwestern St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland getting on some of the action. And if we actually take a look at the rainfall forecast maps, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS, they're both showing the rainfall forecast for 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 8 a.m. Jamaica time. And we do see the blues that represent the isolated shower activity for maybe a section of St. Thomas and Portland. And we know all of this is coming off of the water from the east associated with that tropical wave. So maybe some isolated showers in the morning for those parishes. Then by afternoon, we start to see some consensus. Yes, we still have the isolated showers coming into section of St. Thomas and Portland by 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time. But we're starting to incorporate some more northern and western portion of the island. That's where all of the air is going to be piling up, just like what we saw in the wind forecast. We know the winds have a lot to do with rainfall in general. And we see definite section of St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, maybe even section of northern St. Elizabeth getting in on the action too. Euro model as usual, a bit too robust, showing the blues represent rainfall across eastern, central, and western Jamaica. But I'm more inclined to believe what the GFS is showing, given the wind forecast. Either way, we'll see exactly what unfolds if the Euro wins, with most of Jamaica getting rainfall on Monday afternoon, or will it just be eastern, northern, and western Jamaica like what the GFS is showing? That makes a lot of sense. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the GFS are in consensus that there's going to be rainfall somewhere across Jamaica within the next 24 hours. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Monday. Not saying that's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but within that time frame, these are the spots and these are the amounts that are expected in terms of rainfall. So the Euro showing up to 0.59 of an inch of rainfall around maybe section of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, We can also see that the GFS has portion of Eastern Jamaica highlighted up to 0.21 or more of an inch of rainfall. Western Jamaica getting the most on the GFS up to 0.48 of an inch of rainfall. Either way, we'll take it. We're in the month of August. We usually receive an increase in the amount of rainfall during this month for both Montego Bay and Kingston. Montego Bay's bar graph right here at the bottom. Kingston's bar graph right here at the top. In millimeters, you usually receive almost 100 millimeters. That's almost 4 inches of rainfall. Montego Bay usually receives almost 5 inches of rainfall for August. And you can do the math. You see that I've saved this very key, that same one that the Hurricane Center created. This is a very decent key that shows rainfall from inches to millimeters. So you can do the math yourself to find out what's really happening in terms of the rainfall that's expected annually or yearly, and you can visit weatherandclimate.com to find out about your specific parish. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see some isolated thunderstorm activity as usual across Northern South America, sections of Central America too. We do see the Southern Bahamas getting on some isolated thunderstorms, the Turks and Caicos too, portions of Western Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. We also see some isolated shores across portions of the Eastern Caribbean, some of which has to do with the outer bands of that strong tropical wave. And if we take a look at what took place across the northeastern Caribbean today, we'll see that we usually have the afternoon thunderstorms across sections of Puerto Rico. Northwestern Puerto Rico definitely got in on some of that. Eastern Puerto Rico as well. And if we take a look at the latest Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall off to the north and south of Puerto Rico. Some rainfall right there off to the east of Antigua and Barbuda, St. Bart. Section of Guadeloupe getting on some isolated showers as we speak. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, we do see some of that rainfall coming in more so from the east northeast. Some of this rainfall could affect Barbados later on tonight. If we look northward, we can see some of that rainfall to the east of Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique getting on some of that, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, section of Trinidad and Tobago getting on some isolated showers as we speak. And if we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall right there across sections of Western Cuba, the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, sections of Honduras getting on the mix, section of the waters in and around Puerto Rico, the rainfall associated with that tropical wave to the south of Dominican Republic. We can also see some rainfall right there across section of northwestern Venezuela, section of Colombia getting on the mix. And if we take a look at what's expected within the next 24 hours in terms of rainfall, we're definitely seeing that there's going to be an increase in the amount of rainfall. We see it on both the Euro and the GFS models. Keeping in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Monday. Not saying that's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but these are the spots that are going to be picking up the most in the way of rainfall. So section of Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, sections of Suriname, Guyana, sections of Venezuela getting on the mix, section of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Belize, Guatemala, the Yucatan Peninsula, sections of Cuba right there, not so much the Cayman Islands, but definitely a section of Florida, section of the Bahamas, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, section of the US and British Virgin Islands, and the Leeward Islands as well. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in agreement like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.